when you lack direction, you'll kind of latch on to anything. And a lot of the things that they're latching onto are the popular stereotypes. So you ask a lot of young men, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? What did they say? I want to be a rapper. I want to be a ball player, right?
I would say, you know, when I come on here, we always talk about social determinants of health. And so for me, it is what else is happening in their environment that is exacerbating whatever challenge is already there.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, and 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and our team on that project and that journey has reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. So as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We are broadcasting live on October 1st, 2024. Yes, October, November, December, and 2024 is gone. And we were chatting in the green room ahead of time how fast time is going. But it is U.S. Vice Presidential candidate debate night. We did the Harris 45 one a few weeks ago, got incredible response, and one of our panelists who isn't here yet said, we need to do it for the VP. We need to do it for the election. So that's why we're here. And I am jacked because for those who've been taking the journey with Dr. Vibe, there is someone you haven't seen for a while. But you know what? She's back in the house. Jill Jones.
Hey, thank you.
So
like I
good.
said, I missed you so much.
Well, I'm so glad to have you.
Yep.
Glad to have you back. And we got a few quick moments. What have you been up to?
Well, I've been, I kind of, after Ashley passed away, I got really kind of sad and depressed. And I just wanted to figure out how to change that grief into something. And I started TNRing cats and feral colonies and dealing with more animal activism. And that seems to be the road that it presented itself, let's say. And that's what I'm kind of involved with.
Good.
And I'm enjoying it.
I'm glad to have you back. I hear you've been causing ruckus on Wednesdays, though.
Not too much, really. Yeah, it's been fun getting with the girls, chit-chatting. Yeah.
All right. Well, good to have you back and looking forward to your astute commentary.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Let's get everyone else up. Aisha K. Staggers is in the house after moving. Oh, my goodness. Aisha, you did moving. God bless you. How you been? We can't hear you, Aisha. Check your mic.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you. Absolutely. Good stuff.
I think I'm okay.
Okay. Your reception's iffy, but we can hear you.
Yeah. I have to probably check my Wi-Fi connection. I think it might be my connection.
No problem. If you want, I can take you off screen and you can come back in if you wish.
Yeah, take me off I'm gonna change my connection. Yeah.
Okay. And so just notify me in the green room. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready to come back in. All right. All right. Well, if you want to talk international real estate, here's the person. Laura Lala Key. What's going on?
It's the crazy girl.
Oh, God.
How are you?
Outstanding and blessed. I'm blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracle solution for someone's problem, and Blackalicious. That's what I am.
Of course you are. We've got to get you a t-shirt.
Hey, there's 2 t-shirt people here. The other one's coming up right after you. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a journey, but hey, we're riding the journey well.
All right, fantastic. And you are there. And then Dr. Tachi is in the house with her fan. We need to hear you. You unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself, please, Dr. Tachi. There we go. 100%.
Yes.
Good.
Jill, how are
Hey,
you?
how are you? Nice
I'm
to see
good.
you.
I'm
I think,
good. Good to
I
see
think
you.
the real news of the night is Jill Jones is in the house. Forget these two individuals. All right.
That's what matters. Forget them. Yes.
All right.
So
Aisha, are you
curious
ready
what
to
you
come
all
back
have to
in?
say about this.
All right. Okay. Aisha's ready to come back in. All
Yeah,
right.
I was on the hotspot for some reason and not the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So we're good.
We've got a few minutes before this goes live. Don't read a lot, but it seems that 45 is narrowing the gap, especially in the what's the states? Those 7 states. What do they call them
The
again?
swing states.
Swing states.
So based on that, what impact do you feel this debate may have?
I think I would need to know though who they surveyed,
Okay.
what percentage of those people were Republican, and all that to determine that. But tonight I was going to suggest we play a drinking game when we watch this every time JD Vance live, but we'd be drunk by the first 10 minutes. So there's like no point in doing it. There's no point in doing that. We know this fact. We know he's going to lie. We know he won't be fact checked. That's why we're here with our comments to be able to do that for at least for our audience. But I think people have underestimated Tim Walz, forgetting that JD Vance, this is his first term as anybody's representative of anything. Tim Walz served in Congress, and then he's been governor. He was Congress for 12 years, then he was governor. He's had more debate practice than JD Vance. JD Vance had one debate with Tim Ryan. And the only thing that came out of that was the fact that he said he had biracial children. And then people are like, well, he went to Yale, it's this and that. And I'm like, you know what? My mother's a teacher. Don't underestimate teachers, because they know how to handle these kinds of things.
Okay. All right. Before we go further, we got Jill Jones back. All right. And the King Dragon is in the house. Ryan Knight from Canada.
Hey, congratulations.
Hey, yes.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Good seeing everyone. Sorry I was late. I forgot to jump on early because I know it's starting at 9, so we usually jump in.
No
Good
problem.
to see everyone.
So Ryan and myself are located in Canada. Everyone else on the screen is American.
Right. Nice.
Cesar should be jumping in soon, and Wayne Harris will be in a little bit later. Anyone else? What are you expecting from this conversation?
If I may.
Oh, that's trouble. Go ahead.
It's really not trouble. Number one, I'm not necessarily expecting a whole lot in terms of swaying people one way or the other, because as we've said ad nauseum, the people who are voting. The people already have in mind who they're going to vote for. So this is not going to sway anything one way or the other, in my opinion. In terms of the polls, 100% with Aisha. This is part of my problem with polling. The fact that you don't know who they're talking to. You don't know the margin of error. You don't know any of these key things that is going to make a difference. So honestly, the poll could have been, they went to an elementary school and said, whoever has the longest straw wins. It could be any of that because you don't know their methods. So I need to know more, just like Aisha.
Okay. All right.
Well, I know I had to dress up today because I feel like this is going to be the more prim and proper debate. Donald Trump tried to take it into a different Looney Tunes style. Kamala definitely did her best to keep it somewhat respectable, but now I feel we have level-headed walls. The Republicans say that Vance is their level-headed guy, so either we're gonna see something more in tune with a presidential type debate, or I'm curious if you'll get the marching orders of go out there and top what your boss did. Will he try to actually go beyond what Donald Trump tried to do? If he does, it can get wild tonight. But I think he's gonna try and keep it level, and I'm hoping Tim Walz doesn't take the bait on asking questions or pressuring him about the garbage that Trump was talking about. I hope he sticks to more policy stuff and shows that the Democrats can debate on policy instead of trying to figure out what translate the language of Trump.
I think that that Vance will be. They're kind of like a burnt pan, and
Yes.
Vance comes in to deglaze, but he deglazes in the sense of just getting whatever brown bits or bits he can get up off the bottom. So he says the craziest things because that is clearly a strategy. It's not, there's no other reason. This is a person who went to an Ivy League college that knows better. So there's a reason for saying the most obtuse, aggressive, insulting things because they really are going to deliver the show that their racist followers want. I mean, we have to accept.
Right.
There was a woman being interviewed who said she didn't care if she lost her rights because Dana Bash just came out with a book that basically goes back to 1872, like when after we got our freedom here and we were voting, Black people were voting down ballot for other Black candidates. And the reality was that they white people don't want Black people in America to have anything, and they will forego their own stuff to do it. It's just crazy. They don't want us to have anything. That's deep.
All right. Just joining us now, Cesar Ndema-Moussa. Cesar, I had to mute you because you're getting feedback. So when you're not speaking, I need you to mute. Good to see you, sir. You're getting some feedback, though. Okay, no problem. You can just quickly introduce yourself. Take yourself off mute.
Hi, everyone. Hi, brothers and sisters. I'm Cesar Ndema-Moussa, president of North-South Development Roots and Culture Canada and Eastern Ontario Regional Director of EDI, which is so much attacked. In the US, I know you call it DEI. And I'm a global Pan-Africanist and a regular with our brother Dr. Vibe on Black Canada Talking. And of course, other than Dr. Jill Jones,
I like that. Dr. Jill Jones. What? You come back, Jill? You see you're back in the saddle again, Jill Jones.
I know, right?
Oh my goodness. All right. So we're about 2.5 minutes till start time. Will we have a shake of hands? You're muted, Aisha.
I just want to say I'm so glad to see this panel. Like no one's doing a panel like this of just Black people globally sitting together and watching this live and talking about it. It's gonna be really interesting. I'm excited that we're doing it.
It is.
Hey, Dr. Vibe. Dr. Vibe, I just thought about something. Would you like me to put this on Indie Soup?
Yes.
Okay, here 100%. We go.
100%. Let's put it on Indie Soup.
I will put money that there will be a handshake. I'm telling you, they're going to come out the gate trying their best to be what a presidential debate should look like. So I put money on that there will be a handshake. At the center, Walls won't have to go chase Vance down like Kamala had to go in. She was literally in front of his booth to get the handshake the way that she had to go and aggressively get it. I don't think he'll have to do something for it.
I think we are getting ready. Let me put the screen up. I think getting ready. Window. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Oh, okay. They're getting ready, folks. Okay. All right. So.
And they're looking for a viral moment. That's what they'll be looking for tonight.
No handshake.
Mm-hmm. No handshake, and there you have Governor Walz.
Lose my money already.
Any comments, anybody?
Did he really just try to say that when a baby is born, but through an abortion, if it's still alive, then the doctor wouldn't try to save the baby?
Yes,
like if it's past term, the baby, that's a birth. I'm sorry, I'm just checking. Like if you take the baby out when it's of term, isn't that a birth? And then they would do their best to save the baby. Why would it be aborted?
Well, you know, this is the thing that he's doing, and this is the language about women's bodies that a lot of people don't know. Anytime a pregnancy is ended, whether it be through birth or a miscarriage, it's called a spontaneous abortion. Okay, it just means the pregnancy has ended. Aborted means to end something, and so what they're saying basically is that when women give birth, it's an abortion. You know, that's how they're nitpicking and trying to turn the phrase to fit them. It's ridiculous, and you know, Tim Walz is not. He's not a zinger type guy. He's the dad that shows up at Lowe's all the time. He's not a zinger type guy.
He got better at the end when he felt attacked about the law. It says if it's a botched abortion, they do not have to resuscitate. He said that's not how the law is written. So it just begs, like, everybody needs to go look and see how the law is written. And but Tim needs to pick it up, y'all.
I mean, I think at this point he needs to just stop trying to explain himself and just be like, "You're lying, you're lying, you're lying."
He also needs to stop trying to be like, "Yeah, I agree. We're the same." You know, that you are adversaries. You're not friends here. You've got to show us that there's a difference between you two, not that you two are agreeing. It's just too much. He's too Minnesota nice guys. It's like, "Oh, you know, yeah, for sure." That's what they do. And talk about you behind your back. I need that. I need to talk about you behind your back right there.
Right. And here's the other part of it too. I don't think Pete Buttigieg was the right person to train him, to work with him.
Is that who did it?
That's who did it. That is who did it. I think he needed a black woman to sit there with him and be like, "Baby, if he says this is what you say, and this is how you say it, because this guy's going to be playing in your face the whole time." Because that's what JD Vance is doing. He's there to make Donald Trump feel good, to make Donald Trump sound competent, and to do better than Donald Trump did the last time, and try to revamp his, change the narrative thing. So that's what he's there to do. He's not there to tell any kind of truth. He's not there to even make a case for himself. Because notice, he's not making a case for himself, but he is telling us something about himself. He's telling us what he would do as vice president when he sits there and says, "Well, Kamala Harris didn't do this. Kamala Harris didn't do this. Kamala Harris didn't do this." Well, guess what? Joe Biden didn't do it either when Obama was president. When Obama was president, Obama was the president.
Well, he needs to say that. They needed to have figured out how to cap that.
Yeah.
So it goes away. It's been going on for weeks. This is Kamala Harris's administration. Kamala Harris. They still, Democrats, dumbass, not figured out. Give us a slogan for it. Figure out how to come back on that. Like, too bad she wasn't working that. I don't know what to do, but they need something. And this is what he's not helping, guys. He's not helping her.
What they need to say is, I'm sorry, but Joe Biden was president and still is. He still is president.
It needs to be something sassy and so good.
Okay,
Like, call
we're coming back.
It's terrible. And I don't like these girls.
Comments.
Who called that? Was that Aisha that said he needs to say the only reason you are here on this stage, Vance, is because my man tried to kill the last vice president he had.
Aisha called it. Aisha called it. I think he was just saying to us, "Patience, grasshopper." I think it was just a matter of waiting, because I had a feeling these things were coming. We wanted it, like, say it now. But he seems to me to be extremely calculative in how and when he says things. So just at the end, perfect, because
that
he has
no room. Thing.
Yeah, this was perfect.
Yeah. He's feeling more comfortable now.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because they got to his wheelhouse, actually governing, running a state, being in Congress. The purse strings, remember, the purse strings. He was in Congress for 12 years. JD Vance has only been in the Senate for 2. Yeah. So he was there when he started going on the Obamacare thing. Remember, Walz was in Congress at the time that they were going through all the bills and passing it. He knew exactly what happened in those committee rooms, in those committee hearings. JD didn't know any of that. He also wasn't there at that vote, when they had that vote, when they tried to repeal it, that time that McCain did go against them. He wasn't there, so he doesn't know what was going on the floor in the back conversations. So when they got to those pieces where he could speak from experience, it really boosted his confidence.
What did people have to say when he did not answer the question? Did he win or lose the election? He dodged that.
Oh, he dodged
He said,
that.
"Let's
I
move
thought that was
on."
very strategic.
He said, "Let's move on
Censorship.
from slavery." It didn't have. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he totally.
That said way more than what he said.
Well, I would also add that unfortunately, Tim Walz, he's lacking that fire. Like he should have pressed him again on that question.
Yeah.
But
And even
it's a
with
matter
the
of character,
With the censorship, he should say, "You guys are out here burning books. It's not us."
He did mention
He
the
did
book.
say that.
He did mention the book
that.
banning. He did mention the book banning. But the thing of it is, I think it's the style. Remember, JD also comes from the podcasting world. We all podcast, so we know that there has to be some kind of fire in the belly when you talk about these things. Tim comes from the governing world, so when you govern, you have to be very diplomatic. But also remember, he's a teacher by trade. So when you're a teacher too, you can't have that firebrand kind of thing all the time, because your job really, when it comes to crisis and confrontations, you have to be able to diffuse the situation.
Well, there's
a deliberate attempt to find commonality, and I'm beginning to think it's the strategy, because he's mirroring him. When you mirror your adversary, it sometimes can create a real, like the adversary gets shook a little bit if you keep it up. Like, well, we're saying the same thing, Bill. We're saying the same thing. And then you veer a little so that the audience almost can't determine why they don't like Waltz, because they like Vance too, right?
Right. And then what he's saying is there's no daylight between the policies. And so why would they choose you if she's already here and there's no daylight between your policies and ours? Why go for you?
Exactly. But then he kicked them in the nuts.
And I'm also like, if you are a woman or even a human, I'm like, do you think we're that daft that we've heard what you've said, and now you're coming back and saying other things? What your statements are the antithesis.
Okay, we're coming back. All right. Let me just see if they shake hands. Oh, they do shake hands. All right.
Little elbow touches. Oh, the love fest.
But I noticed Vance immediately went, and see, I think that's a counteraction to what happened with Harris and Trump, because everybody knows Trump did not want to shake her hand, and matter of fact, he actually retracted a little bit. So I think this is his counteracting point to try to neutralize that what happened before.
They're the wives, and
yeah. They can't. Vance is not reading the playbook of Donald Trump. There's at least 2 specific things that Vance has gone against his boss that I heard. One, that he would accept the election loss, and that he would not say the 2020 election was stolen, and that he actually believes women have the right to choose an abortion when they're in a bad situation.
Yeah.
His boss, I feel, because now when they ask Trump that, I can guarantee he's going to be like, well, me and Vance haven't talked about that like he did in the last time. We haven't really sorted that out, because Vance contradicted the playbook that Trump had set. Shaking the hands of CBS, thanking them. That's taking away all of their attack of the media, and it's 3-on-1. So I'm very curious the conversation those two are gonna have. Because
there's a quick question.
Go ahead.
Doesn't like think about it? Doesn't Shady Vance, as I like to call him, doesn't he remind you of that privileged white guy in high school or university who literally gets away with saying anything that seems to fit the moment and he gets praised for it? Meanwhile, the minority students, especially, and the women who were part of the team project, they know he's lying.
You mean those like the typical Yaleys? Like
Yeah,
look, 7 minutes away from me. Yeah.
So absolutely. Here's the thing. Let's not put Ivy Leagues on a pedestal they don't need to be on. Aisha, I know you could agree with me.
The Yaleys don't even know when to cross the street.
No, they don't.
They will cross at the red light, at the green light.
Exactly. I mean, and that's Ivy Leagues in general. That doesn't mean there are not some brilliant people there.
I almost hit one today.
they have not. As a professor, and Aisha as a professor, we know they're not all they're cracked up to be. So let's not put them on a pedestal they don't deserve to be on.
I agree 100%.
Forget that. Howard, anyway. And so there were some interesting things that came in. If I could, I just wanted to kind of look at these things. The things that he said were as if some of these things have not been done before. So talking about the disaster and Hurricane Helene, as if it is the president's job to make sure there's federal disaster relief. So saying the things he did as if no one had done that before. That's the president's job. So, of course, also the fact of, do you know what the vice president does? Because often he was saying things that were not in the wheelhouse of what a vice president does. I'm like, sir, that's not her job. And that's not going to be your job. So but the problem with that is that Americans don't know what the vice president does.
But
so
he's saying things that are actually his job right now as a member of the Senate.
Of the Senate, exactly. That's a congressional job. That's the Senate. That Congress, they are the legislative branch of this.
That's your job.
That's your job. But the average American, sorry to say, probably doesn't know that because we've just obliterated civics in the education system. And then if you were there, you probably don't remember. So
they don't even teach history anymore in many schools.
Right.
Yeah. So you don't know. Is that an excuse? No. But the fact is they don't know. And so you could say these things. Yeah. What was shit like? Somebody in the comments, I'm going to say, what were they doing for 3 years and done nothing? Do you know what the VP does? So before you open your mouth to say things, please be sure you understand civics and know what the vice president's job is.
Very little. They are
the president of the Senate. They are there to break the tie. They are there to break the tie. And if something happens and the president can't do their job, they step in. Those are their two main responsibilities, not to pass laws.
Well, that's why what Jill was saying, Tim Walz should have a counterattack to that. As soon as they try to say, oh, what VP Harris been doing? It's like, yo, she's been doing her job. Right. She's been doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing, and now she's stepping into the role where she can do her policies. And he didn't really hit that. And I don't think they've prepared really well to have a counter to that.
Yeah. He should have been able to say, well, you know what? If the Senate gave her the bills, she would vote on them.
But they've been very walking that fine line. And I think the reason they're not trying to find a definitive here is because they want to also have her benefit from the things that Joe Biden has done. But they're trying to push her in areas that, truthfully, she doesn't really have. That's really not her wheelhouse either. However, you could actually say, you might have to spit out and go, she's the president right now. You let his face dead in his job. But it's crazy. I feel really bad because he did come around at the end, but no enchilada for me.
Can I say one other thing? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I thought somebody was trying to talk. So he said this, which was really interesting. And I'm not trying to be mean about this, but he was talking about the fact that it was hard for his mother sometimes to put food on the table, etc. But then you kept bringing up fentanyl. Could it be that because she was an addict, that was part of the reason you had problems putting food on the table and not because of policy? And I'm not trying to be mean about that, but when you say things like that, now you're putting it out there for scrutiny. So I'm like,
the money on drugs, the food money on drugs.
She spent the food money on drugs. Let's just be real about it. So don't blame policy. Don't blame politicians when it's an individual thing. But now, so now you're you have a problem with it, but you didn't before. Right. Okay, so yeah, I don't.
His mother couldn't feed him, but his grandmother could. So which is it, JD?
Well, it's hard. Exactly. You know, there aren't, many chefs who can go around on fentanyl and whip up a whole meal for the family. It's tough, but grandma could do it. So
exactly,
and this whole
without heat. Remember, yes. Without heat.
Right, without heat.
In the cold Ohio winters.
He's from Middletown, Ohio, guys. I'm from Lebanon. It's really like maybe 7 miles down the road, 10. Middletown was bigger than my town. My town was smaller. And yeah, and I grew up in the 60s when we had even less, when there was even less amenities that just came into the area. This boy grew up in the 80s? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
This is, he makes Middletown sound like a freaking joke, and everybody who lives there should be ashamed of that. He's like, we're down near Appalachia. He's right. Not. It's Middletown, Ohio, and it's one of those cities that is decreased people in it because of manufacturing jobs don't exist anymore. The main thing that kept it going were the steel mills, and they're not there any longer. Right. So JD Vance, if he really wants to speak about his own experiences, he should be the Democrat that he really is. This playing that he's a Republican is ridiculous.
But here's the thing. Guns too is very interesting when he said that, most of these guns in these inner cities are coming from. Okay, I grew up in a city that one of the worst gun violence cities in the country of towns that have a population of 125,000 to 150,000. Okay, in the 90s, 3 of our cities in Connecticut were in the top 4. Okay, and those guns were not coming from Mexico. They weren't coming from south of the border. They were coming from a gun manufacturing plant on Winchester Avenue. The Winchester guns? Where do you think they're manufactured? Winchester Avenue in New Haven. You know where that gun manufacturer went after Sandy Hook, after they banned assault weapons here? They went to South Carolina. And you know who was the person who was trying to coax them to come to South Carolina for their jobs? Nikki Haley. Okay? So let's be very, very clear. These guns,
but it's not just that anymore. They have the 3D guns, bump stocks that were used in a few mass shootings from 3D. And if, I just wanted Waltz to go in a little more about some of those records, like, JD, you didn't vote this way because there was a bump stock law that was used in the Las Vegas shooting, actually. And there's just a lot of heartache, and the more sad to say that you bring up, I think people resonate with it, but I think he came around at the end. But I don't know if it really is going to move the needle. Do you guys think so?
No.
This is not going to move the needle.
The VP debate never does. Mm-hmm. And Lawrence O'Donnell was talking in the pre-show before we even got on. He was saying how, let's be very clear, the vice presidential debate, the presidential debate in the first place was a TV creation. They didn't even have the first one until 1960. They never presidential candidates never debated prior to 1960. The first vice presidential debate was held in 1976. Okay, and so and it was really just a TV media thing. So is it going to move anything? I don't think it is. I think at this point, people are already certain about who they're going to vote for. There are no undecided people in terms of who they want to vote for. The the undecided piece is whether or not they're going to get up off their couches and go to vote versus staying at home. That's the part they're undecided about, not the who. It's the whether or not to vote. And remember, the largest voting block, one of the largest voting blocks are the people who do not show up to vote.
I'm very curious to see the infighting that is going to be happening between Vance and, I have it written right. It's in the script. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Vance forgot to say his line.
Don't forget he doubled down, y'all. He doubled down on a whole nother community. So he avoided that tonight at all costs. What I think that Waltz really dropped the ball on that. He didn't get his rhythm until, you were right, Aisha. He got into his wheelhouse, but he needed to have that going in there. I wish he would not have kept putting his head down. That is not good body language at all.
No.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to take notes as he was going.
He was taking notes.
Yeah.
He was taking notes and then reading them. And he does. Here's the thing. He does what, people who stand, lecturers do, teachers do, what people who give speeches, do. But this is a debate. He needed to have more. I think if he had more eye-to-eye contact with Vance, he could have thrown him off a bit, because Vance, if you notice that when Vance would talk to Waltz, he would turn to him, but he would close his eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's a lot.
But yeah, I think that if they had more eye-to-eye contact, it would have been better.
But this is so, and I mean, his expression was always with the eyebrows going like okay. And I know he was trying to be the nice guy, but the interesting thing about Vance, his character was on display. It's not just for being vice president. It's for people to consider, could he be president too if Trump dies? Because, I mean, we could have another John Tyler, which was like, our 8th president, because William Henry Harrison died in the first month. And that was a disaster. I mean, so when it came across like that, it was really, really important for, I think they lost the plot on that. I think Waltz needed to come a little harder to really show that JD Vance was all over the map about everything. That one day he said this, the next day he didn't, right?
And you know what? I think, here's the thing. There's one person who's watched this and who's very pleased, very happy, but is too stupid to realize what just happened tonight. And that is Donald Trump. Donald Trump sitting there thinking that his boy did a good job, and he really hit him.
Gonna say he won.
But here's the thing that he did that went over Trump's head, and we all know it. JD Vance basically just told us, if we're elected on day 1, he can be dictator. Day 2, I'm putting in for that 25th Amendment.
Yeah, exactly.
That is literally what he just said. Because when he starts talking about the things that the VP can actually do, and we all know that those are the things that only the president can do. What he's telling us is, guys, I will be VP. I will be doing these things. And as soon as I can get over and run over this crazy guy, remember, I know it sounds sane. And that's what I got from it. Because remember, other people were talking about maybe they'll do the 25th after January 6th. But what I got from that is that, guess what? There won't be a maybe this time. JD's going to do it. And remember, he will get the support, because all those people that are there that are going to be put in place are all Project 2025 people. And who's their Project 2025 person, writer on that ticket? JD Vance.
But JD Vance is Eve Harrington from All About Eve, the Bette Davis movie. He's Eve Harrington, who was waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
And that's why he's even more treacherous. And it's so obvious. I don't know how Donald Trump sleeps at night, because it looks like a total setup, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, why do you think he's not that worried about conflicting with? The point is, he's trying to get in. This is what everybody. It's not about that Muppet, him. I can't even say his name. It's not about that Muppet.
The
It's
rag.
about-
He's not even a Muppet anymore. He's just an old rag up there.
He looks like the trash people. Remember from Fraggle Rock? The trash.
Yes. Yes, I remember very well. Absolutely.
He is the Manchurian candidate, y'all. It is crazy. But he
But
is
that's
so
where-
Steve Harrington being all nice.
That's why I'm so curious, Aisha, you pointing that out, because Trump isn't noticing, or I'm not sure if he's realizing that Vance isn't fully lock in step with him. There's things that he's saying that I'm noticing. He's like, I would accept the election if we lose. I was like, Trump will not agree to that. He said it time and time again. The only way we lose is if it's stolen. 2020 was stolen, and if we lose coming up, it's stolen. And Vance isn't playing ball with that. So I'm curious the conversation that they're going to be having.
But let's not forget, he has contradicted himself from the very beginning. He was a Trump hater just a few years ago.
Exactly.
He a plant, y'all. He has always been a plant. We all have been like, he picked what? And the reason he picked him is because of Project 2025, and this is their agenda. Then no matter how far they try to distance themselves, it is proven over and over, including his forward, that he is a massive person who believes in this and wants this instituted. Everything that he said tonight was a complete lie. Once a liar, always a liar. And that is his perfect running mate, because a liar likes a liar. So, of course he's going to come out and say that he won. But let's not forget who he is, and that is a liar.
Right. And JD Vance is a liar too. I mean, just like you said, Lala, he's a liar. And here's the thing the biggest thing that he's lying about. If you are a Republican and you think that JD Vance is a Republican, I'm going to tell you something. He is not. He's actually a Democrat masquerading as a Republican, because that's the only way that he can get elected to any kind of office in Ohio. That's the only way that he's a grifter. He's not a politician. He's a grifter. He is grifting people on the right, because guess what? That is the way that people are making their money. Why do you think Tulsi Gabbard is no longer a Democrat and is supporting? She's a grifter. That's where the money is. That RFK Jr. Look, RFK Jr. will go either way. He tried to go get a job with the Harris campaign and said, "Well, if you get in, can I get a position in your office?" They didn't return his call, so then he ran to Trump. Come on, these people are unserious people.
Yeah, it's like Charlie Crist from Florida. He's the same way.
Yeah.
You were a Democrat, then you were a Republican, then you were an independent. What? Who are you? And what? You just want to be in power. That's the thing. Those are very dangerous people.
Got to go.
It's even like these bloggers. If they are right wingers, they're getting more. Candace and all of them, they're getting more attention by being right wing Black people, which is really crazy.
And
but they make money.
I know this being in Connecticut. Candace Owens was a Democrat. She worked for the NAACP.
She was
exactly.
But everybody, decides like, wow, if I decided to go and be a right winger, I think I'd have a huge following.
Yeah,
I really believe it.
Absolutely. If we all did this, if we turned this if we had did this thing and did it from the right, do you know how much money we would be making? We would have had advertisers, everything. But the fact of the matter is, how much of your soul do you have to sell? At the end of the day, JD Vance's beautiful, beautiful children that he kept talking about are going to look at him one day. Because guess what? They're not going to be in that bubble. Eventually, they're going to have to go into the real world as brown people. And guess what? When you are a brown person, particularly an Indian person, people are automatically going to assume that, not necessarily that you're Indian. They're going to assume that you're Middle Eastern and that you're a terrorist. How is he going to explain that to his kids, that he did all this kind of bull talking about different people and marginalizing people, when his kids say, "Hey, somebody called me a terrorist"?
There'll be one that won't like,
Well, there will be a Nikki Haley. He'll have a Nikki Haley.
There'll be one kid that'll be Mr. Goody Two Shoes, and then there'll be one who will just not get on with their parent.
I mean, why do you think Nikki Haley's so bothered by Kamala Harris? Because Kamala
But there's a
Harris
lot of shame.
living her
Indian that
Indianness
she can't be.
But
freely.
in the Indian culture, we have to talk about, you know, the skin bleaching is
Yeah.
right. And there are issues about trying to assimilate,
Mhm.
sadly, you know, and hiding their Hindu faith, which is crazy to me.
Right.
But, you know, if he had a bindi on at a wedding, it's like, dude, like you had a Hindu ceremony.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's a shifty one. He
Thank
looked
you.
at the camera tonight at one time. There was one point where he turned his eyes, and the way he looked at it, he actually scared me.
He looked very smug when he did it. He looked at the camera
He
and was
looked
like,
dark. There was like a big dark energy, just
Yeah.
the way he turned and then looked. And
Oh
that
yeah,
was
his
dark.
eyes are a portal. Don't look into them.
I don't know.
Um,
He's the one in trouble.
You'll
He's the
disappear.
one to watch out for.
So I wanted to go back really quickly to the actual debate. And yeah, I too agree that I felt like Walls could have hit a little bit harder. But as a debater, I'm looking at the rules of debate and what we've seen in presidential debates, vice presidential, that's really not debate, right?
Right.
So they're calling it debate, but that's not what it is. So the
No.
writing, I do that too. When I come up with something, because I want to make sure I hit on everything. That's what, if you've ever been on a debate team or whatever, that's what happens. And so I don't take that as a weakness. I take it as somebody who's actually following the rules of what debate is supposed to be. And everybody else is not doing
But
it.
it's a raw
properly.
start now. Have you guys seen the most recent debates they're doing and the speed, how fast they're talking so fast you don't even know what they're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It's about trying to get the other person rather than trying
all
to.
of this cramming it in. And it's not even this anymore. This is archaic because the real debates now are like Twister, you know?
well, remember, debates are supposed to be about intellectually stimulating
Not anymore.
conversation, a
Go
view on
Google
issues.
them.
But we're
It's
seeing
scary.
what we're seeing now with how people are debating, it's about getting clapbacks in. It's about getting sound bites in. It's about getting that 20-second clip that you can post in on TikTok to play over and over and
Well,
over.
we
and over
need the
again.
dozens. Everybody likes the dozens. That's what they need to be doing.
I wrote this article, Teddy, that I published about performing normality and how we are making very unserious people serious and acting like this is normal. That being unserious is normal. And this is the problem. You sat here tonight and you watched two people, one who really does know the issues, knows the policies, knows how to work in the confines of government. Another person who's a podcaster who only got to the Senate because he wrote a fictional book about his growing up and did some podcasting, but worked for this trader guy and is being backed by someone with a lot of money. Okay. And we're supposed to take him as a serious vice presidential candidate. Okay. Someone who only has 2 years. He's talking about who's unqualified. And Donald Trump sat there. Kamala Harris isn't qualified. That whole ticket has 2 unqualified people, 2 people who never ran a. Okay, and they expect people to want them to run the country. This is unserious. The fact that they're even allowed to run and people are taking them seriously, we have a serious problem because this isn't normal.
Cesar, you want to say something?
Well, I was going to say, just to go back to the point about the debate, technically this was a good debate, but as I wrote earlier, Trump got us used to the theatrics and the circus. So in today's comparison in 2024, it looked lame, it looked boring, but it wasn't. Before 2016, this is what you would expect of such a debate. But then, as Sister Aisha said so well, these are two individuals, Trump and Vance, who technically are not qualified, but they play on populism. They lie fittingly for the base. As JD Vance says, they make up stories, and as Trump does all the time, deny and delay. That's what he does. That's why he in court he delays, in front of the cameras he lies and he denies. So I always talk about the dumbing down of America for the last 40 years since the 80s, and I always use this one TV show to best illustrate it: The Simpsons. Someone like Homer Simpson should not work in a nuclear plant, and conveniently, they live in Springfield. But imagine real life Homer Simpson working at a nuclear plant. That's basically what we're having with Trump. And Vance is not dumb. He's an opportunist. I remember there was an article or maybe a meme. Yes, it was one of those short video. I don't remember how they're called on the internet, about a white guy who made a video about someone should remind JD Vance that his kids are biracial and Indian, aka very much what most of MAGA people actually hate. Just like remember when they had the RNC and his wife came on stage and they made sure, Dr. Van, remember when I said they made sure to write practicing Hindu? that was like, they made sure to, like, I was like, how those, and I've heard other female journalists ask the question, how is she married to such a man? Well, he's lying. These comments about Trump are just from a few years ago, and Washington Post talking about 2020. The man is an opportunist. He's Trump is more authentic than him, or more genuine, because Trump has decades of racism. So JD Vance, but it's a reflection of the dumbing down of America and the states of politics, not just in America, but really in the whole Western world. We have our own situation in Canada where the leader of the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, will go shake hands with the Freedom Truckers. But if he was the one in power, of course, he wouldn't put up with that. But it's politics, it's populism, and at the end of the day, they do not care about people who look like us on the screen. Even when they talk about the abortion debate, it's all about white supremacy and maintaining the position of power. And as such, they lie, they manipulate, they do voter suppression, etc. They prevent the education, the actual education of history, just as of EDI, etc., etc. So that's we're in 2024, but just wait, 28, 2032, 2036. That's when we will really see, because yeah.
All right. Want to go around. Dr. Tachi, who won the debate, or was it neutral?
Honestly, I think it was neutral. I don't think there was a clear winner. Some people may say, but yeah, I honestly think it was neutral. There were some points and hits on both sides. So in my opinion, it was neutral because this was a reality show.
Aisha.
I don't think there was a winner either. Like I said, I don't think it's going to move the needle for anyone. It was just something to do on a Tuesday.
Lala. Unmute yourself.
Laughing, Aisha, but do something to do on a Tuesday night. Nobody won this. This was nobody's made any decisions off of this tonight. This is just their opportunity to get in front of the people and do what they do. And I don't feel like anybody came out on top. I feel like both had weak points, both had some strong points, but nobody's minds have been made up for tonight. It just doesn't matter.
Jill Jones.
I feel the same. I think the moderators were terrible. They set the tone. Their vibe was just so blah and boring, and it was just it just had Karen vibes. I just didn't like them. They weren't diverse in their questions, and they also did not fact check. I did like the other debate before they would push back and say, well, that didn't happen. I don't know. Okay. Not cool for me.
Cesar?
I agree with everything the lady said. It's I'm gonna come up with a term. You know, like they say, false positive. This is false neutrality. False
Yeah.
because it was neutral, nobody won, but it was false. AKA, you could have gone to movies or watch Dancing with the Stars or whatever was on, and watching or not this debate would not have changed your opinions. They really spoke to the base, and I think it was Aisha who said it earlier. There are no undecided people. The real question is the percentage of people who will go vote or not go vote. That is a true question. And very good point regarding the host, the moderators, that they lack the fire, and the terrible, terrible thing America has to learn. You can't do a debate without fact checking, because there is really that Trump movement, Republican movement. I'm not saying Democrats don't lie.
Right.
I'm saying Republicans slash Trumplicans lie that much more, and that much more, obviously.
Ryan Knight.
So it's curious to me, and when you think about who won or lost, it's when you retreat now back to your camp, and what is going to be that internal conversation. So if I'm Harris and Tim Walz comes back, I don't feel like he said anything that I'm going to have to go out and defend and try to spin and fix. When Vance retreats to Trump's camp, people are now going to press Trump about what Vance said.
Good
like,
point.
yo, your boy is going to accept the election results. What do you say? Your boy says, hey, women in distressful situations are okay to get abortions. What do you say to that? Your boy said he's going to shake hands after the election if we lose. Those are things that now people should be asking Trump and making him defend what his guy said. And I don't feel, if I was Trump, I wouldn't feel good about Vance's performance, because a lot of the things he said, I won't say a lot, but there were too many things he said that contradicted what Trump has laid out as the blueprint. So I would say Vance didn't stick to the playbook, and that's going to cause problems for Trump. He's very good at spinning, so it's not like it's going to affect a big thing, but it's going to cause a conversation that I wouldn't want to have if I'm the lead on the ticket.
Yeah, I got to say, to Ryan's point, I think that's the one that is something that we do have to. That's one thing I can say about this, is that when they go back at the end of the day, news media won't have any questions for Kamala Harris about what Waltz said on any of the things. They might ask about the
Tiananmen Square thing. They're going
thing that he misspoke, but that's about it. But when they go back to Trump, hey, wait a second. Vance said this. Vance said this. Vance said this. Vance said this. So the peppering of the questions, but we have to hope that our media is strong and conscious enough to actually ask him the questions. They haven't been asking him the right questions.
Exactly.
Okay, really quick. Go ahead, Dr. Tachi.
Yeah, really quick. Somebody did win. What network was this on? CBS?
Right.
They got advertising, so they won.
Yeah.
Really quick. Roundtable quick. Dr. Tachi, who's winning the election?
Who's winning the election?
Yes.
Harris.
Aisha.
Harris.
Lala.
Harris.
Jill Jones.
Harris and Waltz.
Cesar.
I'm saying Harrison Walz, but really close because of cheating of the Republicans.
Yeah.
Ryan.
The steady drumbeat of Trump's base is going to win this. I feel the Harris momentum is starting to plateau, and unfortunately, it was a tall order to ask that momentum to keep up. So I'm thinking Trump will pull it out. Unfortunately, because it's his base is locked in solid. Like, we have to really hype up people around Harris and keep it up to get them out.
Well, there's a film coming out called The Apprentice in 2 weeks. I hear it's incredible, and it is going to not be really it is going to do some damage to Donald Trump.
The October surprise.
Yeah, it is.
And I do know this.
Friends have seen it and said
early voting has already started, so that benefits Harris.
All right. I would like to thank Dr. Tachi, Aisha, Lala, Jill Jones, Cesar, Ryan. Great to have you back, Jill Jones. As always,
Thank you.
want to give you your time. manage your energy, and give yourselves grace. All right, we're gonna get everybody off. Thanks. Take care. Take care. All right. I got it myself to the stage. All right. Bye, Lala. All right. Thank you, everyone who checked this out. As always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. More subscribers, please and thank you. Follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and follow each one of these individuals. Please do that. If you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm on, please email me, dr.vibe@drvibeshow.com. And you can catch me, the drvibeshow.com website, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at the drvibeshow.com, X/Twitter at drvibeshow, and email dr.vibe@the drvibeshow.com. As always, I want to finish off with this. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, and then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace. God bless, peace, well, keep the faith, and walk good.